Sejuani plus an AD carry? Do you want the LeBlanc because it's up, right? And you know you can get some very strong side lane play going. I wouldn't mind it into a team like LNG, considering how powerful Zika has been on so many side lane picks. Being able to potentially have an answer via this LeBlanc in the later stages or in the mid game certainly makes a whole bunch of sense to me. Let's BLG now search towards that jungle pick, just hovering through a whole list of junglers that can very likely play. I am curious about what he really wants to land on, right? When you're into Maokai, you kind of either want something like this Ivan where you can stand your ground, but with LeBlanc it would feel a little bit awkward, or a big counter-engage tank. Again, like your Vi or like your Sejuani. Shun is having a lot of fun with the
He's having a whale of a time, isn't he? Hovering Master Yi just chuckling away to himself. It is going to be the Xayah locked in the end. Not too surprising to see a Xayah early on in the draft, but there we go. The Shurima solo lanes for LNG. They knew exactly what they wanted. Zika set up on the Renekton, and Scout gets that Azir that we've been talking about already. Now, BLG maybe want to go for a jungler themselves, but you could just lock in your bot duo as well.
Okay, what are the BLG lads on? Because he shouldn't again. Massive smile on his face. I think it's likely, yeah, just going to end up being something like a Ksante or Ornn here for Bin, and a little bit of re-engage, or just generally a very stable lane into this Renekton. But in terms of being able to pull out some of that early aggression, Munch, I feel like LNG are feeling pretty happy, right? They can 4-5 their bottom lane. They've got Renekton on the top side, so that should be relatively guaranteed priority. And then, you know, between Azir and Maokai, there's a lot of setup in terms of, you know, Shurima Shuffle, big ultimate, anything like that for trying to lock down Yagao, but then the team fights are always going to be very exceptional if they can make it into the objectives first. So I think for BLG, the only thing they've got going for them right now is that they have their AD carry, and they're going to be able to pinch away at Gala's pool just a little bit to make things a touch more awkward for him. LNG can focus down either the jungle role, which I expect is the more likely of the two, or the support role. We'll see. It's going to be the Kindred ban towards Shun, so I'm expecting another jungle ban to follow up. Maybe something like the Vi just to remove away a facet of lockdown, or of course again the Sejuani for engage.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll ban the Nidalee. I don't feel like this is a huge Nidalee game,
really
to be honest. With a Ksante top and a LeBlanc mid, you wouldn't expect Nidalee, but do you just have to give the respect to Shun anyway, is the question. The Sivir banned away, though. Like, Ashe is still up. We've not really seen much of that. Varus as well, of course, will now be banned away.
Honestly, my bigger concern is that Shun, whenever we pan the camera over to him, is smiling a little bit too much. So maybe
he's loving it.
Maybe he sees the Nidalee angle, you know?
Do you know, there is an angle here for Nocturne, right? I feel like Nocturne could be quite good. You've got a LeBlanc to dive alongside with.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like where BLG are at in the draft right now, they're going to struggle to 5v5, right? I think unless Yagao really gets going and he's able to put down a lot of poke, I feel like realistically, you're probably trying to look more towards side lane, so something like a Nocturne wouldn't be too bad to try and, again, just assist on that department, right? Look for side lane plays in the early stages, post 6, before level 11, and kind of before that 15-minute mark, and then you transition that truly into full-blown side laning. We'll see whether or not Shun wants to lean on it, or he just wants to go towards the Sejuani, right? We kind of mentioned it was either going to be something like that Nocturne for an angle, or you're just looking at true team-fighting junglers, and it seems like it will be the latter that they land on here for BLG. So, LNG, where do they go with their AD carry pool, right? They have the Varus and the Sivir removed away from them. You know, it's kind of now looking towards things like maybe the Ziggs, or things like Zeri here for Gala. That's kind of the things he's defaulted to. Or, of course, the Aphelios, which I feel like sometimes it slips all the way through to the point where, and of course, priorities kind of fallen, that I almost forget it's a champion, but it will be here for Gala. And I think he'll be very, very happy about it. Regardless, as the Rell has somehow made it all the way through the draft. But this will probably give us something like an Alistar for on at 5, and they should feel pretty happy about where they've landed BLG in the bottom side 2v2.
I feel like the meta is really interesting right now, where Rell can go all the way to last pick, making it through this draft. And Rell is such an incredibly powerful pick, and some teams are more than happy to like first pick the Rell. LNG managed to grab it all the way in their final pick of the draft. But here we go. Our first compositions locked in. And it does feel like LNG, really powerful team fighting, right? Scaling carries in both mid and bot. They've got the Rell, they've got the Maokai, with the Renekton for a point of strength in the top side. But BLG as well, certainly no slouches. With a Sejuani and a LeBlanc, their early game mid jungle is going to be powerful. It's going to be a banger. I'm hoping for 5 as we head into game 1.
I'm not one to bring up crowd favorites, Munch. But I feel like there's one team that the audience in-house in Xi'an wants to win a little bit more than the other. BLG faithful out. In force, to say the least, perhaps. A game 1 win from LNG could maybe hush them and inspire a little more fight from the LNG side of things.
I've got to be honest, I feel like that has just been the story of LNG over the last few years, is that they never seem to be the crowd favorites. Like, remember 2021, all the way from round 1 of playoffs, making it to Worlds, and I don't think anyone in the world, except for maybe Gulborg, believed in them back then. And 2022, round 1, all the way to regionals, 1 game away from Worlds, and once again, I don't really feel like the crowd was behind them. And now here, 2023, and they're in the lower bracket final. This time they didn't have to go from round 1. This time they've come in as the 3rd seed for playoffs, but this time they're against the 1st seed, and they need to prove themselves. They need to prove that crowd wrong.
They do. Not to rehash your point from earlier, but they do have to defy, at the very least, the in-house expectations here. As a... Oh! Wait, what?
A bit wonky in the bottom lane here, as we're all just kind of clicking around.
So can you miss that wall attack if they go... I've never seen that happen before. That was kind of weird, but hey, I guess that's how the interaction works.
Yeah, I guess if the auto cancels, maybe it just... You just miss out. I don't know. I've never seen that before.
We'll have to get our cancel specialist on the hotline, aka Caterer, at some point. Maybe he knows. But yeah, early game should be relatively tempered. I feel like both these junglers, well, actually, as I say it, I've just realized Shun going for a really aggressive path. And I mean, this is something that can happen a lot of the time. Renekton will trade very aggressively early on, can get punished. No dashes now, just a flash.
In all kinds of trouble. Flash already going to be used, and I mean, Shun's happy with that, right? Like you say, aggressive path up to the top side and instantly gets a flash. Look where the wave is. This couldn't be worse for Zika.
Yeah, it's going to feel really bad. You wonder if Tarzan's going to get called up here, maybe just for a little bit of support. That ward in the tri-bush should probably give LNG enough information and reaction time, considering where Tarzan's at right now, to actually react, just in case there is a regank here. But I highly doubt it. Zika should be able to just about get this wave in relatively comfortably, and then probably look for a reset, just because he knows that Shun still going to be on the top side of the map. Doesn't really want to play with fire.
He doesn't. Shun's returned to his jungle, though, wants to get those chickens on cooldown, so they'll respawn at a similar time to the Krugs. Zika moves down to spot out. In fact, no, just to recall, as Tarzan will move over to the Scuttle Crab. They realize Shun isn't here for the time being, and he'll be okay to get his reset off. So, Bin, in the meantime, is absolutely chilling in the top side. Not going to try and push the wave or anything. Just going to hold it as long as he can in this spot. It will slowly push out away from him as Scout getting caught out by Yagao here, trying to set up for Tarzan. Yagao winning out these trades in the early game.
Yep, just a bit. He's got... Now, whilst this trade looks good, remember Bin does have teleport and will be looking to reset. Shun, oh, he's going to path off the side of the scuttle, so he's not spotted. This is troublesome for Zika.
This is real bad for Zika. He needs to make a miracle happen. The shield comes out from Bin to protect him, and Zika suddenly realizes he is up a creek and he does not have a paddle here. The stun's going to come on through. Zika locked up. Bin jumps back in, and that's first blood. Shun with a beautiful repeat gank. BLG making it look easy.
Spoke about in the pregame how when you've got 2 carry top laners, how much attention do you want to give them? It seems like the answer from Shun is a lot. Now, down here on the bottom side, maybe Tarzan has something to answer for.
Tarzan wants to make something happen, and he'll get a flash out from on, but is that enough to answer the first blood? I'm not sure.
Nope, I'm not too sure it will be. I feel like giving Bin a lead like this is one where he's going to be very happy to navigate out. He's missed so much XP, actually. This is a huge crash. This is one of the worst feelings. If you play top lane, you've teleported back, right? If you got like a wave 3 or 4 crashed and then it's bouncing back and then you get ganked and die and you miss that wave, it sucks. I hope the observers click on Bin, because you can see he's already level 5. Basically 60% of the way for Zika to get to that level 5 mark.
Look at this. Look how one-sided the 1v1 is. Zika's still going for it. There are no jungles here, and Bin has just decimated him. That's 2/3 of Zika's health as Bin's going in for a little bit more. Oh my god, Bin still has his flash, remember. This could be a solo kill, Zika. You got to be real careful here, buddy. As the wave is pushing towards Bin once again.
it's just a bit awkward. The threshold means that Bin maybe, you know, if it's a misstep from Zika,
God.
he can definitely do it.
It's a cage match. It's an absolute cage match up top. Bin's accidentally cleared the wave in the trades, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, Zika has to reset. Hold on a minute, Scout.
Scout? Oh, he's locked up. The Yagao flashes over the wall, but he can't find it. And now he's in a bit of a bad spot as Hung moves in, but it will be Scout walking away with his life. And actually, Scout didn't flash. Yagao did.
Yep, exactly. So Scout feels alright with this trade, but look what's going on in the top lane, man. It's an absolute
double CS.
He's double the yeah, exactly. 50 CS up. They're gonna catch him in the mid. Oh, guys, come on. This is mean.
Oh, Tarzan's here though.
Brutal. I mean, yeah, Tarzan can be here, but the thing is, Zika without level 6 and Bin having all out just makes this such a one-sided affair. And if it wasn't one-sided enough, Yagao's here too.
Yagao's coming on over. All out available for Bin here as they're going to be looking for the stuns, for the roots. Tarzan will be locked up as well. But, I mean, sure they don't get a kill, but look, more minions are tied to the tower.
You know what? I feel like they saw all of Zika's previous series and just went, yeah, we can't let this guy play the game. Nope, 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 absolutely not. And I mean, Bin is like a full level up now. A complete full level for sure. I'm not even, we have to click on Zika again to see where exactly he is in terms of progress to level 6 at least, but...
I mean, look at Bin's XP, right? He's almost level 7.
Yeah, that is... It's not a good sight if you're rooting for...
Gala's level 6 here, On's in all kinds of trouble. No flash available for him. Feathers come back for Elk, but look at the damage out from Gala. Don't finish the kill off, and On walks out with his life. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that they get away with that one without flash.
Yeah, so am I, but I mean, LNG, they have to continue to try and force through the bottom side, in my opinion. Now the top side, oh, hello, there you go. Talk about force. Flash and cleanse blown from Elk. So now Tarzan, I feel like as soon as he hits the level 6 mark, he has to come down here. He has to punish Elk ASAP because the top side is a lead that's not going to be overcome anytime soon. And LNG need to make up some gold somewhere. Some kind of lead considering what is happening in that top side match after Zika.
I love that Shun is just, his whole game plan right now is topside dominance. As On moves into this mid lane to try and hold the wave for Yagao. Doesn't have TP available right now, so just wants to try and keep those minions there while Yagao moves over. Herald is up onto the map. We've not seen either team even look at Drake so far. But Herald, with the amount of topside presence from both teams, could be it on. Knocked back, uses the headbutt to get back over the wall and sets up for the kill onto Scout. Flash out of the play here from Scout, and he will survive for the time being, but my God, On just served Scout up on a silver platter.
Oh God, what a monster On is for that play. I mean, good thing Scout didn't use the flash earlier in that exchange, right? Has it now. Otherwise, he was certainly dead. Hex flash in the fake, man, On is just feeling himself. He's just like, hey, I might go in. But now BLG with that chunk out on the flash force should be able to just turn around, look towards the Herald, right? Bin can secure priority basically whenever he feels like it. Will it be traded out for the Dragon? At the very least, LNG will start this one up. Seems like it will just be that first objective trade between the two teams here. But my concern is that for BLG, first Herald means plates. And given what just happened to the top side and the tower, how much further ahead are they willing to push Bin? And how much further behind are they willing to set Zika with that objective? And of course, don't forget Yagao moving towards that static Shiv. He's already got priority in this mid lane. It's going to continue to get worse, and more pressure will be put up here towards the top lane.
That's another plate for Bin. Zika just trying to survive, almost 30 CS down at this point. And while the Herald is taken, I feel like Shun probably doesn't drop it top, right? You could try and set up Yagao with some plates, maybe get some gold into Elk's pocket, because let's be honest, Bin has this matchup now. Bin doesn't need the plates. Like, Bin is going to win the 1v1 pretty much for the rest of the game at this point, unless something goes dramatically wrong.
He's already
like
got
you could.
Yes,
it's not even 10 minutes yet. Now we're 10 minutes into the game. He managed to beat it to the 10-minute mark with his mythic. That is something else from Bin. And I want to remind everyone as well that On is on the Alistar. We just saw him out playing Scout on the pick. We saw what the man did to Rookie in the series against Top Esports on that Azir, to be very specific. Herald comes down in the bottom side as they look to set Elk up with a bit of gold.
Yeah, a little bit of a cash injection here into Elk, an additional half a plate. So Elk feel good about that. I was hoping that maybe Shun wouldn't drop it as fast, because I was wondering about you know, whether or not it'll be a mid lane drop as well, because there is a general lack of wave clear on the side of BLG, right? So if you can crack that mid lane wave, or the mid lane tower super early on, with perhaps a second herald after the first one, if you're to secure both, then I always feel like if you're up against more wave clear, if you're able to break that tier 1, you always get a little bit more freedom on the map to move. So it won't be that option though. BLG will just give more gold over to Elkin. Static Shiv just got completed by Yagao, so once he returns to the mid lane, I expect priority basically to be wholeheartedly his, and that's when I feel like, again, LNG will be put under a little bit more pressure in this early stage of the game. But again, you have to remember, because of the way that, you know, compositions work and such, if LNG can kind of, you know, stay top side removed, you know, gold even, you've got Aphelios, you've got Azir, you've got a lot of frontline and engage, you're always going to be able to play out team fights. It's just about ensuring that you have the correct kind of setup, which is favorable to you as a, yeah, Zika just can't trade at this point in the laning phase.
Yeah.
That was rough.
And I feel like the way that this game is going is like kind of classic BLG, where some teams will really challenge BLG and fight them in the early game, but if you don't, this is what happens. They're 2,000 gold ahead with just 1 kill on the board. It's just passive lane advantages. It's plates across the board. It's been absolutely dominating the lane matchup with the help of Shun in that early game. And they'll find one lane that finds a big advantage and they'll just snowball it out of control. And they don't need a million kills to find that snowball. They're not super reliant on the scraps. They're just good at the early game.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see there from Tarzan's, you know, kind of half posturing off the back of Gromp. They don't even feel confident that they can take a 2v1 into Bin. Bin is just that far ahead now. So, yeah, neither do I.
I'm going to be honest. If Bin's 0-0-0 with no items, I'm still not confident I can 2v1 him. Like, he's just a monster, isn't he? Yagao trading aggressively. This first Drake was taken by LNG to start us off, but the next one up in 90 seconds, which is a minute before Herald, so it could be a point of contention.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe if the dragon isn't taken up super quickly, though, however, we could just see another cross map like that first dragon and first Herald. I feel like if BLG are willing to give up 2 dragons, it would be a little bit of a point of concern for me, just because, again, I feel like the team fighting, you know, 5v5 from LNG, just that flat value should be a little bit stronger for them, but it will always come down to things like setup, how the fights start off. As Tarzan could be caught out here.
Yeah, they've committed onto him. The aftershock means he's difficult to find a pick onto. Vision denied, though. Tarzan tries to move in, hung alongside him. Yagao doesn't really have the damage to deal with these tanks. Elk has moved down to the bottom side to make sure that him and his team have prior, but with him there, LNG feel confident to muscle their way into the river. Yagao jumping over, though. BLG have managed to defend their position.
Yeah, they have for now. And they're just going to hold this line. So it seems like, to me, BLG not willing to give up that second dragon, like we was talking about, right? Give up that second dragon, you put yourself on, you know, somewhat of a, I wouldn't say a soft time, but perhaps just a little bit more pressure than you'd be willing to give over. As LNG just trying to kind of man-mark wherever BLG could exit the river. Try and win a bit of bot side priority, but the wave will be cleared away quite quickly on Hung. What do you want to make of this?
Good bit of damage onto the horsey. With red and white weapons, Gala's feeling pretty strong. I'm not sure how much ammo he's got left on his white gun. That's been there for a little while. But he's using the red for now. I think he wants to have that last bit of ammo to potentially get the chakrams out, get some big damage for a team fight. But I don't know, it feels hard to contest, doesn't it, from LNG?
Yeah, a bit awkward as well, because what actually happened there, Zika got a big wave of tempo. Ooh. Hello.
Flash from Gala, but in the meantime, they've just shredded Hung. Kraken Slayer. Boy, has he found a squid for himself. That's a kill for Elk.
Yeah, really well played by On as well. Just everything about that engage. Q, Flash as well come out. Ultimate to break the chain CC. Excellent stuff. And he secures his AD carrier kill in the 2v2. Now they can look towards pressuring this tower even further. It's so low already that just with Shun's presence, they should be able to break that one down. Gala's yielding it as well with no flash. Should be BLG's for the taking. So nice sequence of play here for BLG, getting the dragon, stopping LNG from getting that one stacking, taking this tower, and then it seems like to me they're even going to be able to get the Herald as well, and they might just have their hand in the cookie jar a bit. Bin starting up early, but you know, they'll be able to get the rotation through.
I just love that Bin is like, my whole team is bot side taking a tier 1 tower and diving. This is probably a good angle for me to solo Herald. Tarzan obviously checks him, bit of walk away with his life, just being a bit cheeky with it. BLG, like you say, they can move over and they can wrestle for this objective as well. They're 4,000 gold up at this point in the game. LNG, this one feels like it's running away from them.
Yeah, it really doesn't. How do you skirmish now with this super fed Ksante at this point? Zika's got to go catch the wave, and On should just about play bodyguard for this entrance here into the river. You never really want to let LNG cross that choke. If they ever enter the choke, they just get engaged on instantly. Let's see how it plays out. Teleport's coming down, so is the Tarzan ultimate.
Engaged from Hung, roots across the team as well. On is low and taken down to start us off. It's a good start, but instantly answered, and that's the jungler down. Zika trying to 1v1 Bin as the Herald actually resets here, and LNG grouped up strong. Bin tanking for the time being as Shun looks for a way into the fight, but he's being denied. He doesn't have his ultimate, and it's Herald taken for LNG. Bin forced out the back of the pit, and BLG finally checked.
Big thing there for BLG was the fact that On didn't have the ultimate, so LNG was so happy to just see him tank up the Tarzan ult to try and keep Elk from having to blow any summoner spells or an ultimate, and they just kill him, and as soon as On's dead, there's no real turn threat from the rest of the team, and Zika kind of collapsing a little bit on the pincer despite being man-marked by Bin. It's a very, very easy team fight that LNG happily approach. Really good stuff from them, and they secure the Herald crucially to stop that snowball from BLG yet again.
Yeah, and I feel like that second Herald, often not... A lot of the time, I think, when you're watching at home, second Herald doesn't feel quite as valuable as the first because there's no plates, but when you're a team like BLG, the snowball potential of that second Herald is something else. Those feathers from Elk, gorgeous.
Everything about this play. From both sides, honestly, Gala flashed the headbutt Pulve combo, but then On actually, like, with discipline, and then pretty much a Captain Jack from On as well, on the ult. From that Hung Q to immediately re-engage. Everything was excellent, and like you mentioned as well, Elk too, so everyone's on the ball. 17-minute 2-item Xayah. Not too shabby from Elk.
Yeah, I was about to say, as we talk about him, the Navori finished off. There's such a huge spike. Look how far ahead of Gala he is right now. That is a terrifying situation to be looking at if you're a fan of LNG. They do have the Herald, but it's in the pocket of Scout, so it can't necessarily be as flexible with the Herald as you would like. Because once again, Bin just continues to put on solo pressure. This time looking for a red buff. Elk in the mid lane on there to protect him. Hung has to crash down away from the play as BLG start to threaten a tier 1 in the mid lane. Who needs Herald?
Yeah, who needs Herald? Just makes life too easy. Who cares? We'll see the red buff stolen away. Bin's even going to pick up the gold and the XP for it.
Bit of health regen.
Bit of health regen, as it were. And he's going to sit comfortably in that 1v1 already. Red buff is just going to make it even more annoying. So, BLG objectives. 1 minute away, it'll be that Cloud Dragon and Cloud Rift that we're working with. So, you know, not the most combat-heavy soul when you've got champions like who we have on the Rift, but definitely some uses for a good couple of champions here on BLG. I wonder if they're going to be willing to just continue this priority here in the mid lane. Seems like maybe a counter-engage as they try and greed for a bit.
Feathers still available. Elk going to hold on to that ultimate. Tarzan trying to threaten as surely On can just tank this. For one last auto from Elk. There we go, tier 1 taken down. And BLG with a tier 1 taken in the mid lane. With Drake going off in 30 seconds, they should feel good for a second.
Yeah, they should feel good. A little bit awkward that Elk had to blow the cleanse though. I wonder if that's going to come back to bite him. If there's an all-out contestation from LNG. But the issue is, BLG have crept 5k gold ahead. So do LNG really feel like they can even fight at this point in the game, right? 2 items on the Xayah on the opposite end. Just went back and finished up boots. Whilst Gala still kind of stringing together for a second item. And again, with Scout having this Herald, it seems like maybe LNG a little bit more invested in looking for a topside play. But Yagao, static shiv, a lot of wave clear. He can W forward quite far. Look for the wave clear at a very safe distance. But he is looking for a reset right now, so a bit awkward. I think that the read here from BLG is that they can see LNG might have a Baron angle in this very weird world if they hard commit to the bottom side, so they don't really want to give it up. Plus the Herald as well. They're worried about the cross map, so trying to match numbers right now, and it could have just cost them a little bit here.
Oh, Scout down to Hearth. He goes for the ultimate, but Shun somehow managing to dodge it. I'm not sure if he queued over or not sure. Didn't seem to get knocked back though. Scout has to drop the Herald. Yagao trying to threaten him, but zips on back. Big level of pressure up here, but Tarzan is kind of alone on the front line. Has that aftershock, but is that going to be enough? rooted up here. They can't get the autos in for the Sejuani passive. There we go. They finally get the stun and force a flash out from him. But Scout, half HP from the previous play, has to dash out of the play. And now Zika in the middle of everyone. But he's 1v5. He just can't do it. And the feathers fly back in. Shun chasing down onto Gala. One more auto will set up the stun on, charging in for the headbutt as he protects his jungler. It's a good caliber. Gala's getting some damage out, but feels like the fight was lost before he could even get involved.
Whoa. Calm down, BLG. Starting the Baron off the back of that. I mean, like you're saying though, Joe, for LNG, it felt like no one could really get involved together, right? Everyone a little bit too scattered, but also in that same breath, BLG not able to lock down a couple of members you really feel like they should have deserved to have locked down Gala. Kind of get saved a bit by that headbutt on the back end. Either way, very happy to step away from this and potentially just pick up this dragon for free.
Yeah.
Yagao's going to come in and check it. And the rest of the BLG don't necessarily want to give this one up. Yagao, a lot of CC here. But not enough damage.
Back in the end of hell. Oh my
oh
god.
my god.
Yagao was just a distraction. Do you know what they call that? Classic misdirection from Yagao. Keeps them distracted. Look at this hand. Look at the LeBlanc. And then suddenly Xayah flies in and annihilates them.
Something about smoke and mirrors, and this could just turn into a Baron as well. I mean, there's a ward here, so LNG will know it's going on, but the reality of the situation is, can they stop it? Tarzan's not got ult for maybe 20, 30 seconds or so. He's also in base, so this just looks like a very free Baron that LNG are going to be willingly giving up here. Tier 1 will be traded, I guess, but BLG are just growing this gold lead at a ridiculous pace.
Yeah.
5.5k at least. As let's look at this top side fight, because it was a pretty lengthy one. Tarzan in the midst of it for a while. Teleport comes in really early from Bin, and that kind of signals LNG to back up, as Zika takes almost an extra 2 seconds to come through. Always take a very long time to lock down Tarzan up there, but then Elk in a bit of an awkward position, pinched away, has to flash ult. Yeah, you can... Excellent stuff again.
It's just like the killer instinct there from Elk, right? Like, even though he's not on the Kai'Sa, he's still like, he's running away, he has to use the Featherstorm, and then he flashes at Scout to try and pull the feathers in to try and find a pick. Like, he doesn't have a retreat mode, does he? He just is always fighting. Like, he might be fighting backwards towards his team, but he's still fighting.
You know, whenever you're playing like battle royales or anything and someone's super aggressive, you refer to it as, you know, they love the W key. Like, just move forward. It feels like for every direction that Elk goes, it is forward. Like, regardless of whether or not it's technically backwards, he's always looking to make a play if he can. BLG looking to make a play as a team, looking for this mid tier 2 on the Hex Flash over the wall and just force people back. So this is about taking out those tier 2 structures that LNG have been holding on to for a while. A little over 90 seconds on this Baron. We'll see what exactly they can get done. This should be about suffocating LNG out. They have a massive gold lead, but again, without, you know, a solid amount of wave clear. The dive potential there for BLG, but kind of risky into Aphelios, Azir, and Rell. This should be a relatively slow Baron unless LNG overstep their bounds.
Yeah, I will say LNG's late games have been pretty good. They have had some phenomenal games when it comes to that, and certainly have scaling in terms of that Aphelios, in terms of the Azir. But the thing is, the Azir only just on 2 items. Aphelios still not even there. 1.5 for Gala. Does not feel like enough, because Elk has almost finished his 3rd item at this point. Like, scaling is a potential factor, but we're talking like 15, 20 minutes in the future. I don't know if they'll last that long.
Yep, me neither. At this pace, BLG are setting in the game. I feel like Elk, I mean, he's just gone back for the Lord Dominic, so he is just truly 3 items. Sure, Gale Force has finally picked up, but it's still a whole item difference between the 2 AD carries, which is just something that's not going to be overcome anytime soon, plain and simple.
Yeah. Shun fighting for wards here, despite the fact that 2 of the players from BLG are nowhere near the play. They're still returning from base, Elk and on. And Yagao still happy to put pressure on Bin, still pressuring in the mid lane as well. And Shun setting up vision. As Elk now moves down, this bot tier 2, surely undefendable. 10 seconds on the Baron though. Perhaps if they can clear this wave, they'll be able to protect the tower. Yagao threatening a dive here, but LNG, they call the bluff, they hold strong, and they defend their tier 2. In the meantime, mid inhib down to a 3rd.
Yeah, mid inhib down to a 3rd. I mean, this is the only issue, right? BLG diving this composition ahead or not is a very risky affair. So For LNG, if they're grouped up, they'll always be fine. But this is something they can't really do much to stop unless it's a grouped up LNG. Is Yagao just... Oh, hello. Kind of forcing
trying to make a play here. It's TP out from Bin. Zika forced out. They're going to just threaten the inhib, aren't they? As LNG still trying to defend the tier 2 at the bottom side. Elk still pressuring onto that one. The solo laners of BLG putting so much pressure onto LNG. They have to find an answer. But like you say, they're split apart. This composition isn't fantastic. They're trying to play multiple lanes. They want a 5v5, and BLG, there's no universe where they give it to them.
Yeah, it's just a lot of posturing from BLG, right? Where they're just like, we might go in. You have to stay here now. And they eventually secure this tier 2, all the while Yagao. Again, going back to those smoke and mirrors, right? All of that posturing is going on from BLG. They're able to secure, rather. Goodness me. Mid lane tier 3. So, yeah. Feels good. And now they can just retreat back to the Dragon, go for a reset, kind of do whatever they want. And yeah, feels like LNG are just stripped for options now.
Yeah, they really are. Like, for me, at this point, I feel like BLG have won this game unless they go out of their way to lose this game now. This one's pretty much in the bag. And I feel like for BLG, it's a really nice, confident start to a series that you can, like, with the way that the results against JDG went for both... Scout, come on, man. DPS check, can you get the resetting grump? Yeah, with the way that those series went against JDG, it's a question of, like, you know, was LNG a favorite coming in today? BLG say no to that, but also show that, like, this year for BLG, the first split, spring, the miracle run during playoffs, then going to MSI, making it all the way to the finals. There's been a lot of LPL teams that have had a really good split into an international, into great success, but then fallen off immediately. It's been a flash in the pan, you know? And I feel like for BLG, this summer split is very much like confirmation that they are a great team, that wasn't a one-time thing, that they are going to be going to Worlds looking confident. The only way they don't immediately qualify to Worlds is if LNG wins the LPL, and then JDG would get that second seed. So BLG feeling confident that they will make it to Worlds, and they want to look good going there. And they do feel like they are still that team from MSI. They are still that team from Spring. If anything, they've got better since then.
Yeah, exactly. They've continued to grow throughout. And that growth has, I suppose in a way, over the course of the year, if you're waging it on the first half, a little bit unexpected, but since that growth has come in, it's been nothing but an unstoppable force. And for plays now, Gala.
Oh, Gala flashes, but Bin gonna chase him, hung over the wall to try and protect the AD carry. Magnet Storm used defensively as well as they fight for vision. In the meantime, Yagao's been forced to flash. Scout finding an attempt on the top side there. Yagao does have the TP. He'll be able to reset and get himself back into the play. Baron now being pinged and BLG setting up, but this could be the 5v5 that LNG want. However, with Magnet Storm and Emperor's Divide on cooldown, I don't really know if this is even fightable. Baron's already gone. And now the roots come in. I don't know if they'll be able to find this fight though. Tarzan going to be on his own. Yeah, there we go. BLG another one. I mean, this is just brutal. This is absolute decimation of game one.
This has been a shellacking. Nothing more, nothing less. LNG, it feels like they're just waiting to be mercy killed at this point by BLG.
I just want to remind everyone, like, this is the team that took JDG to 5 games in game number 1 of the lower bracket finals of the LPL, and BLG are, what, like 12,000 gold ahead at 30 minutes with only 6 kills. This is a pure macro win. Like, I mean, this is something else.
Not going to be a game on Andy, but this is a very, very impressive performance from BLG. And I think LNG are just a little bit stunned, right? After all of that top lane focus, they never had an answer for the rest of the map, and it felt like it started to bleed out to the rest of the map for BLG. LNG just, at this point, just make a fight happen. Just do it. I don't think you can wait any longer. BLG will just slowly chip away and end the game. See if you can find an angle look like. I mean, Yagao's on the bottom wave right now. Try and force a 4v5, right? Like, this is about it. This is all you can really hope for. But they're just not able to do it.
Scout has the most MVPs of the split. 14 across the regular split. And he's on 3 items on that Azir. He's on that signature pick. This could be the only way for LNG to get themselves back into the game, is some kind of miracle coming out from him. Set up from Zika, from Hung, from Tarzan. Then Gala in the back line, wailing away. Let's see if they can find it on the target. Magnet Storm in has been retreats. There's one onto on. Scout still going strong for the time being. Full HP as he looks towards Elk as well. Dodges the feathers. I'm keeping my eyes on Scout here because these Sand Soldiers are making it happen. This ain't 5v5. He's got so many soldiers, but it doesn't matter because there's even more feathers. Elk is looking for a little bit more. Triple kill comes in. Zika shuts him down in the end, but the rest of the team can cut LNG to pieces. It's a beautiful fight from BLG. In the end, Scout tried his damnedest, but it's BLG taking game one.
For a breath, once Elk flashed forward, you can almost see an angle for a pentakill there. Can you joke? Doesn't come to fruition, but they get all 5 kills. They'll take down the Nexus in game 1. And it was a absolute spanking to start off this series. LNG need to regroup and very quickly refine a formula that can bring them to contest BLG.
Yeah,
they are looking to bounce back.
I feel like sometimes you get games that are very one-sided, and it's like they're going to go back